I robbed myself of $27,000 in 90 days. But here is the twist. I was the victim and the thief and the one who got rich from it. Let me explain. For years, my own psychology was stealing from my future impulse purchases, emotional spending, mental shortcuts designed for survival in the wild that now sabotage survival in the modern economy. My brain was the enemy of my bank account. Then I learned how to hack it. Three psychological techniques that flipped my mind from wealth destroyer to wealth creator. 90 days later, I had $27,000 I would have never saved using willpower alone. Your brain is robbing you right now. Let me show you how to stage a heist on yourself. Before I reveal these 3 hacks, I need you to understand something important. This is not about budgeting. This is not about discipline. This is not about grinding harder or wanting it more or feeling guilty about your spending. All of that garbage advice has failed you before, and it will fail you again. This is about psychology, about understanding the invisible forces controlling your financial decisions, about redirecting those forces toward wealth instead of waste. When you work with your brain instead of against it, saving money stops feeling like punishment. It starts feeling almost automatic. I am not special. I do not have superhuman willpower. I failed at saving money for years using traditional methods. What changed was understanding the 3 psychological hacks I am about to share with you. Subscribe and hit that like button right now because these techniques could transform your relationship with money permanently. This is the video I wish someone had shown me years ago. Let me take you back to before the heist, before the $27,000. Before any of this made sense, I was earning good money. Not extraordinary, but solid income that should have allowed me to build wealth. Instead, I lived in a perpetual state of financial anxiety. Money arrived and money departed in roughly equal amounts. Some months, I saved a little. Most months, I saved nothing. Occasionally, I went backwards into credit card debt. I tried everything the financial gurus recommended. I created budgets that lasted 2 weeks before falling apart. I tracked expenses until tracking became exhausting and I stopped. I deleted shopping apps only to re-download them during moments of weakness. I told myself to just spend less without any mechanism for actually doing so. The problem was not information. I knew I should save money. The problem was implementation. Knowing and doing are separated by a canyon that willpower alone cannot cross. Then I started studying behavioral psychology. Not finance books, psychology research. I became fascinated by why humans make irrational decisions, why we act against our own interests, why we consistently choose immediate gratification over future benefit even when we genuinely want the opposite. What I discovered transformed everything. Human brains are running ancient software in a modern environment. The mental shortcuts that kept our ancestors alive are now bankrupting their descendants. But these shortcuts can be redirected. They can be hacked. They can be turned from enemies into allies. 3 specific hacks emerged from my research. 3 techniques that worked with my psychology instead of against it. I implemented all 3 simultaneously. 90 days later, I had $27,000 saved, not through suffering, through science. Let me reveal the first psychological hack. I call it pain injection. Here is an uncomfortable truth about human psychology. We are far more motivated to avoid pain than to pursue pleasure. Losing $100 hurts approximately twice as much as gaining $100 feels good. This asymmetry is called loss aversion, and it controls more of your behavior than you realize. Credit cards exploit this asymmetry against you. When you swipe a card, there is no pain. Numbers change on a screen somewhere. The loss is abstract and delayed. The pleasure of the purchase is immediate and concrete. Your brain perceives all reward and no cost. Spending becomes effortless. Cash works differently. Handing over physical bills activates pain centers in your brain. Watching money leave your wallet creates genuine discomfort. Studies show people spend significantly less when using cash compared to cards because the pain of payment is immediate and visceral. But carrying cash everywhere is impractical in 2026. So I created a digital pain injection system instead. I set up real-time notifications for every single transaction on every account. Not day summaries, instant alerts. Every time money left my accounts, my phone buzzed with the exact amount. I could not escape the pain of spending. Then I amplified the pain further. I created a rule that every non-essential purchase required transferring an equal amount to my investment account within 24 hours. Buy a $50 item and $50 more must move to investments immediately. The purchase now costs double psychologically. The effect was remarkable. Impulse purchases plummeted because the pain caught up to the pleasure instantly. Buying something no longer felt like just spending $50. It felt like spending $100. The mental math changed completely. I added one more layer of pain injection. I kept a photograph of my biggest financial goal as my phone wallpaper, a house I wanted to buy someday. Every time I unlocked my phone to make a purchase, I saw what I was sacrificing. The abstract future became concrete and present. These three pain injection techniques saved me approximately $8,000 in the first 90 days. Not through willpower, through making spending psychologically uncomfortable enough that my brain started avoiding it automatically. Now let me reveal the second psychological hack. I call it identity architecture. Human behavior is largely driven by identity. We act in accordance with who we believe we are. A person who identifies as a runner does not need motivation to run. Running is simply what they do. It flows from identity rather than requiring constant decision-making. Most people carry identities that sabotage their finances without realizing it. They see themselves as someone who deserves treats, someone who works hard and should enjoy the rewards, someone who is not good with money, someone who will figure it out later. These identities generate behaviors that match the self-image. I deliberately rewrote my financial identity using specific psychological techniques. First, I changed my language. Instead of saying I cannot afford that, which frames me as someone lacking money, I started saying I do not buy that, which frames me as someone who chooses differently. The first statement is about limitation. The second statement is about values. Same outcome, but completely different identity implications. I stopped saying I am trying to save money and started saying I am a saver. Present tense identity rather than aspirational struggle. My brain started organizing behavior around this identity automatically. Second, I created identity evidence. Every time I made a choice aligned with my new identity, I documented it. A note in my phone, a checkmark on a calendar, visible proof that I am the person I claim to be. The psychology here is powerful. When you see evidence of an identity, you protect that identity. Skipping one purchase becomes proof that you are a saver. That proof makes the next saving decision easier. Each aligned action reinforces the identity, which generates more aligned actions. The flywheel starts spinning. Third, I surrounded myself with identity reinforcement. I followed content creators who embodied the financial identity I wanted. I joined online communities of savers and investors. I limited exposure to people and media that reinforced spending identities. Your environment shapes your identity constantly. Every advertisement says you are someone who buys things to feel good. Every social media post shows people enjoying purchases. Without deliberate curation, this environmental messaging overpowers your intentions. Within weeks of implementing identity architecture, my decision-making shifted noticeably. Spending started feeling inconsistent with who I am, rather than just financially unwise. The internal friction against unnecessary purchases increased dramatically without requiring conscious effort. This hack saved me approximately $11,000 over the 90 days. $11,000 not through gritting my teeth and resisting temptation, but through becoming someone who simply does not make those purchases. Now let me reveal the third psychological hack. I call it friction engineering. Human beings are fundamentally lazy, not as an insult but as a biological reality. Our brains constantly seek the path of least resistance. This is why we check social media instead of working, why we order delivery instead of cooking, Why we make the easy choice even when the hard choice serves us better. Most financial systems are engineered to make spending easy and saving hard. One-click purchases, saved payment information, buy now buttons, seamless checkout. Every ounce of friction has been removed from separating you from your money. Saving requires the opposite. Opening accounts, setting up transfers, making decisions, logging into platforms. Every step is friction that your lazy brain wants to avoid. I flipped this equation entirely. I engineered maximum friction into spending and minimum friction into saving. For spending friction, I started by deleting every shopping app from my phone, not hiding them in folders, deleting them completely. Repurchasing required going to the App Store, downloading the app, logging in, and then shopping. Most impulse purchases died during this friction. I removed saved payment information from every website. Each purchase now required finding my wallet, extracting the card, and manually entering 16 digits plus expiration date plus security code. This 30-second friction window killed countless impulse purchases. I implemented a 72-hour rule for any purchase over $100. The item went on a waiting list. If I still wanted it after 3 days, I could buy it. Most items never made it past day 2. The desire faded once immediate gratification was removed. I unsubscribed from every retail email list, every sale notification, every limited time offer. These triggers could not generate impulse purchases if they never reached me. For saving friction, I engineered the opposite: automatic transfers from checking to savings and investment accounts on payday. I never saw the money. I never had to decide to save it. The friction of spending it became much higher than the friction of saving it because saving required no action. I created a savings account at a completely separate bank from my checking account. Accessing that money required logging into a different platform first, initiating a transfer, and waiting 2 business days. That friction protected my savings from impulse invasions. I set up automatic investment contributions that increased by 1% every 90 days without requiring my decision. Friction-free escalation. The asymmetry was now reversed. Spending required effort. Saving required nothing. My lazy brain started doing what lazy brains do. It chose the easy path. Except now the easy path led to wealth. This friction engineering saved me approximately $8,000 over the 90 days. Not through motivation, through laziness strategically directed. Let me show you how these 3 hacks compound together. Pain injection makes spending feel bad. Identity architecture makes spending feel inconsistent with who you are. Friction engineering makes spending feel hard. Attack spending from 3 psychological angles simultaneously, and it collapses under the pressure. Saving becomes the path of least psychological resistance, not through willpower, but through strategic design. You are not forcing yourself to save. You are making saving the natural default outcome of your environment and identity. $27,000 in 90 days breaks down to roughly $9,000 per month or $300 per day. That sounds extreme until you realize where the money was going before. Daily coffee shop visits, $30 weekly. Spontaneous Amazon purchases, $200 monthly. Eating out when groceries sat unused, $400 monthly. Subscription services barely used, $150 monthly. Impulse clothing purchases, $300 monthly. Upgraded options and premium choices, $500 monthly. Entertainment expenses, $200 monthly. None of these individual categories seemed excessive. Combined, they represented thousands monthly in spending that added nothing meaningful to my life. The 3 hacks did not require me to consciously battle each category. They simply made the spending stop happening automatically. Let me give you the implementation playbook so you can stage your own heist starting today. Week 1, focus entirely on pain injection. Set up instant notifications for every transaction. Create the matching investment rule where every discretionary purchase requires equal investment. Choose your goal image for your phone wallpaper. Make spending hurt. Week 2, layer in identity architecture. Change your language from I cannot to I do not. Start documenting evidence of your saver identity. Curate your information environment to reinforce who you are becoming. Week 3, add friction to engineering. Delete shopping apps. Remove saved payment information. Implement the 72-hour rule. Automate your saving and investing to require zero decisions. Week 4 through 12, let the systems work. The hacks compound over time as neural pathways reform around new patterns. What feels slightly unnatural in week 2 becomes automatic by week 8. You will not save $27,000 in 90 days if your income does not allow it, but you will save more than you ever have before. You will save money you currently believe does not exist in your budget. You will find financial margin you were blind to. The specific number matters less than the psychological transformation. Once you experience saving as automatic rather than agonizing, you can never go back to the old way. The heist becomes permanent. Let me address the skeptic in the audience. This sounds like gimmicks. Real financial success requires hard work and discipline, not psychological tricks. I understand this objection. I held it myself for years. It kept me broke while I waited for the discipline that never arrived. Here is the reality. Discipline is unreliable. Willpower is finite. Motivation is temporary. Every approach that depends on these resources fails eventually because humans cannot sustain conscious effort indefinitely. Psychology is constant. It operates whether you are motivated or exhausted, energized or depleted, focused or distracted. By engineering your psychology, you create systems that work even when you do not feel like working. The wealthiest people understand this intuitively. They do not resist temptation constantly. They design environments where temptation rarely appears. They do not make saving decisions daily. They automate everything so decisions are unnecessary. They do not rely on motivation. They build systems. These 3 hacks are how ordinary people can access the same advantages without extraordinary discipline. Your brain has been robbing you for years. Every impulse purchase, every emotional spending spree, every convenient checkout. Your psychology was optimized for a world that no longer exists, and companies have exploited this mercilessly. But now you know how to fight back. Now you understand the 3 techniques that flip your brain from enemy to ally. Now you can stage a heist on yourself and come out wealthy. Pain injection, identity architecture, friction engineering, 3 hacks, 90 days, $27,000. Your turn. If this video showed you a new way to think about money, subscribe, because I reveal the psychology behind wealth that most people never discover. Drop a comment telling me which hack you are implementing first. Share this with someone whose brain is currently robbing them blind. Stop fighting your psychology. Start using it. The heist begins now. I will see you in the next video.